All right, so we're back with our Google Certified Educator Level 2 training. And the Google Slides presentation I'm going to show you aligns with that of the Google for Education Teacher Center. Okay, so it's going to be this one right here we're doing. It's Unit 2, Leverage Learning Models to Personalize Learning. And it'll be, so the presentation I have, it kind of just takes this and kind of summarizes it and makes it a little more concise. So here we are. Let's go to present. All right, so let's get this going here, right? So we're on Unit 2 now. I just did Unit 1 yesterday. So leverage learning models to personalize learning, and as as we first start here, you're going to see like the three main learning models that they talk about, which is blended learning, flipped classroom, and I think personalized learning. And I actually have two videos that I made years ago on those two that I'll be able to share with you. So it's broken down into three sections here, right? The first one is getting inspired by alternate learning models. So this section is just going to introduce you to the different models. The next section is to use Google tools to personalize learning. So this is going to be more like task based. And the last one is using visual tools to showcase student knowledge, right? So showcasing student knowledge. Again, this is level 2, right? So now it's not about what we can do. It's about, showing what the students can do. So let's go here, right? So first off, it says for this section here, for this unit 2, you should be able to perform the following tasks: inserting tables and docs in a Google document, inserting images, adding a hyperlink, to be able to paint and create charts and drawings, creating a survey and forms, and creating a chart and graph in Sheets. Now, if you look in my playlist here, I have every one of these tasks covered, okay? And if you have if you have the Google Slides presentation, you can click here and it'll take you right to the video, and it'll take you right to that section in the video where it covers this task. Okay, but like, you don't need this presentation. If you do want to get this presentation, it's you can look in the description link below, and you can get it from the Teachers Pay Teachers store. But you don't have to get it though. You could just hang out here with me, and I'll go over all of them. But if you feel like you need it, then go ahead. So, getting inspired by alternate learning models. Okay, so most teachers are familiar with the traditional way, which is the teacher comes up and lectures, and students take notes and listen and then take a test, right? However, here it talks about learning in other ways. So teachers have learned instructional strategies that help fit the needs of individual student abilities to tap into their passions. Okay, so a personalized learning. Okay, this is when we talk about individual students' abilities and to tap into their passion. We're focusing on personalizing learning. Okay, so personalized learning can be delivered in many different ways and for any subject. Okay, and here we're going to focus on three different models that fall under personalized learning. The first one being project based learning, blended learning, and then the flipped classroom, which is actually a form of blended learning also. But I'll get into it. Um, Now, if you look at the bottom right here, it says, you can determine how these models fit into your classroom. All right, so consider these three questions. What do you do for students who take longer than most to finish an in-class assignment? And, just don't think about special ed students. Think about all students, because we know some students have modifications and things like that. What do you do to connect your learning objectives with real world scenarios? Okay, and just to touch up on that real quick, especially with mathematics, one of the keys to successful mathematics teaching is when you can tie mathematics to real world learning. Because as an algebra 2 teacher, and I'm also a biology teacher, but as an algebra 2 teacher, the question I get all the time is, when can I use this in real life? So this is important here, right? You want to connect it to real world scenarios. And the third question is, what ways do you maximize technology to reach students' different needs? So that's more like differentiated instruction. So this is just to think about as we explore this section of Unit 2. So inside personalized learning classrooms. All right, so you have project-based learning. Okay, so that begins with what's called driving questions, and then followed by an inquiry, by a question-based process. And students have to organize their thoughts. So again, you start with a driving question. Projects are assigned, and then students choose how to solve the problem and present their findings. This is from the project-based learning, the Buck Institute. Okay, they the Google Certified Trainer program really uses their model, and I have a video too, which is based off the same thing, which aligns to this presentation. Blended learning, and this is what we're getting into now. With what's going on with the virus and everything like that, we're looking at more of a blended learning, a classroom environment. So it's a model. It weaves a classroom and online instruction. So it weaves in-person instruction and online instruction, and that's what that's what might happen come September. All right, so teachers provide online guided activities, and the students learn in classroom with the teacher. So it's both, right? So you're in class, and the teacher will answer questions, do some instruction, but there's also time for the students to work on their own online. So that's the blended learning model, and the project-based learning begins with the driving questions. Okay, this is a video I made. I made this video. I don't mean to start it here. I made this video along. I'm gonna go back here because I don't want them to play. They play automatically. But so those are two videos that I made years ago. But they happen to align very good with this program. So now we're on, again, we're inside personalized learning, and we're talking about now the third model, the flipped classroom, right? The first was project-based learning, then it was blended learning. Now we're talking about the flipped classroom or flipped instruction. And I'm just gonna go back real quick. These, you might want to watch these videos. They give you a really good idea. So students receive the content at home, normally by video, right? So sometimes you think a flipped classroom means it has to be video. It doesn't have to be video. You could send it could be a text assignment or a newspaper, things like that. But video is the one you normally think, but it doesn't have to be. So students receive the content at home, sometimes by video, and it could even be the teacher filming themselves. And then the teacher reinforces the video and asks questions while, to ask questions for students to apply what they've learned at home in the classroom. So the students get the content at home, then they come to the classroom, and the teacher asks them to sort of apply what they learned at home in the classroom, so the teacher could see them and what's going on. And that's why it's flipped. It's the opposite, right? Look at this little thing here. Right? I got this. It's flipped. You're used to the teacher delivering content in the classroom, and then the student goes home and does a worksheet on what the teacher taught in class. However, now with all the content available on the internet, you can flip it, and you can just have the students learn the content at home, and then when they come to the classroom, it's more of a student-centered approach, because the students can work on their assignments in class based off the content they learned at home, and the teacher can roam the room and ask questions and help them out, right? So if that goes to our next bullet, the teacher is there to support and extend learning, right? They roam the room facilitating. Now, I said there's three approaches, right? So it says, while one approach may be best for one unit, a different model may be better for other material. So it depends. So here are some goals. Goals for personalized learning. And this is from the Google Trainer Center. One, create a class website. Okay, you could have daily pages with lessons and online activities. This is so you can personalize it for students, and you can differentiate. Two, have projects that students will work on every Friday, for example, and guide students through collaboration and purposeful research towards a common goal. Now, collaboration is a big theme for this unit too. Not just with teachers helping other teachers, but also with students. We want to prepare students when they get into this, when they get into the real world, to be able to work with each other, which isn't easy. Trust me. Teach students how to efficiently ask questions and look up answers. Okay, this is something that it can work with all subjects. Okay, thanks to the internet, where so much information is available, they can probably find the answers themselves. Here's another goal from another teacher: flip a history class this year in order to experiment with student response systems, so you can give all students a voice and allow time for in-depth discussions. So if you flip the class, then you could have good history discussions in the classroom, and they can watch the content at home. All right, so question one. Personalized learning can occur in any subject. Is that true? Yeah, it's true, right? You can do it in any subject. Flipped learning can help students who don't understand certain concepts to learn better on their own, saving in-class time going over these concepts with students who already understand them. True or false? Yeah, that's also true, right? We were talking about the benefits of flipped learning, and one of the biggest things is that when they come to the class now, the teacher will be more available to go over concepts and ask questions and things. Because in the traditional model, when the teacher teaches in class time in the classroom, then when they go home, they're not really able to communicate and ask questions. Okay, blended learning is what, right? What is it? Where students learn in the classroom setting with a teacher and also with online guided activities, right? It's a blend. You're blending in class and you're blending online. It's becoming very popular. Which of the following learning techniques allow time for a teacher to pull aside a small group of additional learning during class time? Select all that apply. Well, let's see here. We skip direct instruction because that's not going to happen, right? Because they're just going to be up there lecturing. So definitely in a blended learning environment. Also in a project-based learning because listen, the kids are working, right? They have their own things to do, so the teacher can pull aside a group and work with them. And of course in the flipped classroom. And just remember, these are the three models that this section of Unit 2 talked about: blended, project-based learning, and flipped classroom. Okay, so that was section 1 of Unit 2. Now we're going on to section 2 of Unit 2, which is use Google tools to personalize learning. Alright, this is my personalized learning video. I'm not going to let it start up, but I'm going to go back real quick. Okay, you should watch this thing. It goes, it's not long. It's not like these videos I make are 20 minutes long. They're short and concise. So, make learning personal. Let's explore Google tools that can help you make the most of each of these modes of learning. And the three modes are what? Project-based learning, flipped classroom, and blended learning. So this section is going to give you some tools to help you, integrate into these three models. So first off, let's say Google Sites, okay, for project-based learning. You can have driving questions and resources on the Google site and provide like a venue for showcasing the students' work right there on the Google site. And when I say a Google site, it's like a classroom site. You're making a website to show your work, and a website to show students' work and even your work too as a teacher. Because if you're putting this work in, sometimes it's good to get some credit. And, you can show the overall results, which we'll get into later with, charting and things like that. For example here, it talks about a water contamination project. Okay, you can showcase that on a Google site, on your Google Classroom website, right? So you can have student testimonials, you can have a guest speaker recording, you can show images, results page, everything for your water contamination project. Okay, Google Docs now. Okay, for the blended classroom, you can guide students, when they're working on their own in a blended environment. Now you should know from Unit 1, and you all passed Unit 1 probably, that the main reason for Google Docs is that you can collaborate together, and it's a live document where groups can work together. But as a teacher, you can go back and you can look at revision history, and even if you share with students, you can watch them as they're working. So as they're doing their work, if if the student is sharing a document with the teacher, or the teacher shares it with the student, you can look in and keep an eye out, and you can guide students. So with Docs, have a table with hyperlinks and thoughts on the other side. Share with the classroom and paste images. Okay, so a table with hyperlinks and then thoughts on the other side. That's just one thing you can do. Okay, Google Forms. All right, great for the flipped classroom. You combine video and questions for homework. You send students a video, and then you tell them to, let's say a video on cellular respiration. You ask them what they learned on cellular respiration, or to write, an essay on cellular respiration. And then, they send that in, and then when they come to the classroom, you can, look at their work and have all their, you can take questions on it and be like, all right, what'd you put? what, student A, what did you put? Oh, student B, and then you can have a nice discussion. Think of some ideas, and it says it here in the last bullet. Think of some ideas that you can do to create a personalized learning environment that I haven't done yet. So you can always get creative. All right, so where are we here? Okay, Google Tools to assist. Okay, now websites can showcase individuals and projects. Okay, that's the Google sites. Blogger we're going to get into. Blogger will give students a voice. Okay, setting up a blog, it's kind of like it's like the YouTube bloggers that go out there and they just express their thoughts, except they're doing it on paper. With card 3 says, and listen, when I say cards, this is right from the Google Trainer website. So like if you click on a card, this aligns with the Google Trainer website. So I'm just getting this all from the Trainer website. With a simple so card 3, with a simple table of tools to explore and their hyperlinks in a Google Doc table, you can guide students through different online tools and how to explore a concept. So that sounds a little confusing here. So basically it's just, you can send the students a Google document, post some hyperlinks for them to go through, and you can have another side where your students can just write questions and things like that. I'm going to try to, I'm going to post a link in the description too of an example for this. So I'll post it in the description so you can see. You can just click on that. As a teacher, you can start adding flipped videos to a form, and then add questions, add questions featured under the form to ask questions about the concepts in the video. So you just send out a Google form. You can put some videos in there. You can add some questions, and then ask the questions about what was the concept of the video. Okay, essential elements of personalized lessons. All right, so now again we're talking about personalizing a lesson, specifically a lesson. So one thing you can do is you can showcase work. When students know that they're creating for an audience bigger than the teacher, they're motivated to get it right, and it becomes like internal. So let the students know that these personalized projects and things like that, like research papers, that maybe you're going to make it public, and then students will be more motivated to do a better job, because it's not just going to be you, the teacher, looking at their work. It could be the administrator, their parents, other students. Okay, so it's a good way to motivate. Use Google Sites to create a website that shows parents, administrators, and the world that our students are doing, and to show what our students are doing, and that can be invaluable in a PBL project. So basically, if you have students doing a big project, let them know that you're going to show it to everybody. Okay, that's one of the keys in project-based learning. And that goes back to, like I said, the Buck Institute, and there were a lot of books written on project-based learning too. And showcasing student work and displaying it to the parents, and here it says, displaying it to the world is an invaluable part of PBL. Okay, multimedia text set, or just, called a hyperdoc, let's just say. Basically the same thing. A small hyperlink document or sheet that can be flipped, that can be added to flip a classroom or part of a PBL project. So these are just some ways to personalize lessons, right? So we said showcasing the work, using these Google sites to showcase work. Also, these hyperdocs can be used to flip the classroom. They can also be used as a guide. Now, essential elements of personalized lessons. We're continuing here. We're going to talk about forms, blogger, and classroom. Those three are really set for personalized lessons. So with these tools, you can embed a video and ask students questions about the content. You can also help students find their assignments and then ask questions online by sharing a Google form. And you can do this with Blogger or Google Classroom as well. Okay. Google Classroom, Google Classroom has evolved now, where you can just post just a question now. They have something there where it's like an assignment. You just post a question. You can put it in the stream. So Google Classroom has evolved to doing a lot of things. It also says you can link Google Forms and Docs to Google Sites. So you have like a Google website, you can link a form in there in a document. And look to incorporate groups and drawings and charts and things like that. I love Google Drawings. It doesn't get much attention. I have a Google Drawing video in this playlist, and I think it's coming up soon. Okay, so more, right? So again, we're getting inspired by alternate learning models, and we're talking about some more tools, right? Forms, Blogger, Classroom. But well, what else do we have here? Those aren't the only ones. We've got Google Groups. That's good for facilitating discussions. Google Drawings you can use to demonstrate understanding, okay? That's like you can draw flow charts and things like that. Google Forms, we should know, is to collect data. Google Charts and spreadsheets to visualize data. And Google Slides show as an individual or a group alternate assessment. So Google Slides show, I should have that. Google Slides show, it can be an individual or it could be like a group assessment. And you can have students present a Google Slideshow. All right, so it's your turn. It's your turn. So you're going to create a multimedia text set as a blended learning activity and share with your students. So if you were to click here, it'll go, this link was right from the Google site. So here's just an example. Mrs. Anderson is going to introduce avalanches with her 5th graders. She finds one YouTube video and 5 other website applications that her students will use to explore the concept of avalanches. All of these links are on the left-hand side of the table. Her tasks for her students to perform are listed on the right hand of the table along with resources. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And I'm going to try to post some in the description below. Alright, so this is a video I have here doing of me showing you how to insert tables, hyperlinks, how to crop images. So the first thing we're going to do here is insert a table. You know, you can find it in the playlist. Okay, so a teacher provides the most authentic audience for students' creative work. So is it the teacher the most authentic audience for students' creative work? No, right? What do we say, right? When you want to get the most out of students, it's not just the teacher. You want to let the students know that they're going to present to the world or whatever. So what are some media that can be linked into a hyperdoc? So what can you put in, what can you link inside a hyperdoc? And that's just a Google document. When I say hyperdoc, that just means a Google document with hyperlinks in them. So obviously, anything with a link, Google Docs have a link, Google Videos have a link, and pictures you can just insert in, and I think there's links to pictures too, whether it be images or whatever. So all of them, okay? All of them in the hyperdoc. The flipped learning model allows students to access concepts at any time of the day. Is that true? Yes. Okay, because you're just sending them videos. They could check it out when they want. And again, it's not just videos. It's different types of content. Okay, which of the following activities can be used to personalize learning in the classroom? So what can you use to personalize learning? Well, a student created websites to demonstrate understanding. That's one activity. A group created slideshows, so you can have, and that goes back, if I were to go back to where I said Google Slideshows. Google Forms, you can send an assessment. Google Forms are great for formative learning. Just formative assessments, let's just say. I don't know why they say formative learning. So Google Forms, think formative assessments whenever you hear those two. And notice guest expert lecturer invited to the whole class isn't part of it. Okay, again, that's your boring, teacher-led instruction where, the students are just sitting in the back of the room and just listening, or really they're daydreaming. Okay, we're in the third section here. Use visual tools to showcase student knowledge. Okay, give me a second. All right, so multiple ways to display knowledge. Students love having the freedom to choose the type of project or product that they're going to display for their learning. It's it's called choice assignments, and it's big in differentiated instructions. All these learning models nowadays talk about choice assignments. Technology provides students with ample options to choose from to display their knowledge. Okay, so whatever product the students create, Google provides a lot of different avenues to display their creativity. Some creative visual tools students can use to present their ideas are like flowcharts, online imaging, online image commenting, magazines, animations, digital inking, infographics. There's a lot of them. for some students, exposure to different visual tools is the first step. For others, you got to start with more advanced techniques. So, not every student's going to be able to use technology with the same ability, so you might have to differentiate there as well. And we'll get into these tools right here as we go. All right, so structuring creativity in the classroom, okay? And again, this unit is to showcase student knowledge. So here are some ways to structure creativity in the classroom. Example products. All right, provide product options and include different visuals and multimedia in your own lessons so students can see them, right? Listen, be the example, okay? Provide students the opportunity to reflect on the product by discussing the strengths and weaknesses. Conferencing. And this is big now with what's going on with everything in society now and with learning. So, video conferences become very popular. All right, so consider scheduling a one-on-one conferences with students, okay? These meetings, they can just be a short check-in sometimes. And I want to say something too, with what's going on here, you kind of have to check in nowadays because you might not be seeing your students. Check in on them just for their well-being. It's not always just about grades. It is. Believe me, education is important, but there's bigger issues in a student's life, and some of them, from my experience and where I taught, some of them have real problems at home. So check in on them and make sure they're okay. Also, yeah. All right. So structuring creativity in the classroom. Here are some ways to structure creativity. Right. So we're talking about structuring creativity. Let me go back here. And same thing here, right? It's all about creativity. This section. So we said example products, conferencing, check in on them. But again, I don't want us to lose focus of what we're talking about here. So peer mentoring, because it's difficult to get to all of your students. Take your tech savvy students with great visual tools and things like that, and let them be the resource for them. It's kind of like peer tutoring, right? It's peer mentoring. Identify students best with visual tools and assign them as mentors. Let them do the work for you. Providing feedback. Teacher feedback on a project should include feedback on the student's knowledge of content and the use of the visual tool. Okay? Have student audience members provide compliments and criticism and things like that. And I don't want us to get lost here, right? So again, it's visual tools. We're focusing on visual tools here. So, again, we're talking about like creating flow charts, creating, magazines, creating infographics. This is stuff like that students can display their knowledge. I have a great example of one. I should have put it into here of what one of my students did. But like I said, all right, I was going to get into these anyway. So applying tools so flow charts. Great visual tool for students to display their knowledge, especially when relaying information that is sequential. Cause and effect relationships. Use Google Drawings and slides. Okay, they're both good. Those are like some of my favorite ones here. Google Slides and Google Drawings. I love working in Google Slides. This is a Google Slide. So students can create a flow chart under the diagrams option, which is in Google Slides. It's right under Insert, and choose from a different number of charts, and they can display information. Have your students do a history timeline. Let them talk about relationships, cycles. What's a good cycle here? The life cycle of what is it? Of a plant, of spores, something like that. Online visual books. Okay, and another great example. A little bit more work for students, but by creating an online visual book, students can pair images with text to display their knowledge. Right. So one visual tool for students to showcase their work, we said, was a flow chart, okay, which they can do in Google Slides. And now we're saying an online visual book, again, right, using Google Slides, and they can pair images and text, kind of like what I'm doing here. Use Google Slides to make different types of traditionally printed media, such as magazines, brochures, informational picture books. Like we have in my school, like the school paper does it kind of like this, and they make their like a visual book using Google Slides, and they do a pretty good job. Digital inking. Okay, that's a fantastic way to bring drawings online. So students use digital inking and they can draw characters, diagrams, science observations, habitats, settings, models. They can make annotations, much more. And there's more information on digital inking. When you take this test, this unit, this whole Google Educator test, you're not going to be asked like a specific question on digital inking. It's not going to be that specific, but just have an idea. You know, just have an idea of that visual tools are a good way for students to showcase their work, and there's a number of different options, right? Like we said, like flow charts, online books, digital inking is one of them, animated video. I know you might think to yourself, how this is going to be a lot for students, but um, listen, this is where society's going. They have to do these things. I think it's good to teach them video and all these types of things, right? So it says in some instances students may want to convey the complexity of a topic by adding movement. Okay, so for example, um, it says, for example, you may want to relay a character's journey, the process of osmosis, steps in a math problem, the process of the water cycle. And when I say animated video, think animations also within a Google slide. Like an example of an animation in Google slide is right here. I know I'm giving the answer away, but that's an animation. So I click the button and it just pops up or it goes down. You can use that. Students can, and it says it too, students can use Google Slides and Google Drawings to animate drawings. And, they can just, press the button and a picture will pop up or a diagram will pop up. When it said animated video too, video is going to be a big part. So as we get to like unit 10 and unit 9, it talks about students really using video, like having students make their own videos and things like that to showcase their knowledge. So here it says animated video, but it gets a little more complex. All right, so applying tools in the classroom. The infographic is the one thing I was talking about that I have there, like that a student did. It was like a cell membrane infographic, and you could click on it and it'll take you to a link to like a web page, and it was all color coded and it looked really really nice. Like I said, I'm going to try to put that link in too. So visually represent information from different sources of media when you do an infographic, right? So maybe you click on something, it'll take you to a video, and you click on something, it'll take you to a website, and you click on something, it'll take you to another image. Okay, it, you know, like I said, I love infographics. Google Jamboard, and I started using this recently to do some math videos. Google Jamboard, online whiteboard for creating infographics. And students can combine many media sources. They can overlap them. They can write on them. Now, this is what it says from Google. But when I create infographics, I don't really use Jamboard. I kind of use it depends. It could be Google Drawings sometimes, and you can use aspects of Jamboard. Google Drawings allows students to create graphs, charts, and to use images. You can always draw. You can bring images into Google Drawings, and then you can work on that image. Image upload and commenting. Okay, so for students who are more comfortable displaying their knowledge through the physical composition, uploading a piece of a picture to Google Drive can be a great way to share their work. Okay, so like with math now, when if I give an assignment and how do I know they did it? Sometimes I'll tell them, like, take a picture and upload it to Drive and share with me, or take a picture and upload it to Google Classroom. And then, you can, as a teacher, you can comment on those pictures. And even if they use Google Classroom, you can comment it. So uploading an image is another way to display student work. Google Keep, and I like this for my cell phone here. It can be used to save images, drawings, and graphs instantly. All right, so we're almost done here. All right, so which app allows students to save images, text, and graphs, and more from their research? Okay. And I feel like going back here because it's like just on, just in this section. Yeah, Google Keep. And I feel like I rushed through this too, right? So it's used, if you check down here, Google Keep is used to, this damn thing came up to it, save images, drawings, and graphs. Okay, this is, Google Keep is good. I use it for the phone. I use it for my phone. Okay, true or false? Students can animate their drawings using Google Slides. Yes, this is like an animation right now. Okay. What are some examples of visual products students could create using G Suite for education tools? So, what are some things they can create? We said infographics, right? What else did I say? Flowcharts, printed me brochures, and I didn't pick essay, right? Because why? An essay is not a visual product. Okay, which app is like an online whiteboard that allows students to include various multimedia sources, items from Drive, etc., so forth? Jamboard, right? If you go back real quick, what did I say about Jamboard? Jamboard, online whiteboard, right, for creating infographics, right? Oops, I'm going in the wrong direction here. Okay. All right, so now we're going to do the unit review, so we're almost done. All right, so project-based learning, or PBL, involves what major concepts? Okay. Group collaboration, yes. Real-world problems and solutions, and asking. Remember I said that driving question is kind of what starts it off. And I also said, especially with math and all these learning models, real world problems is really important for learning. And I think I also stressed, the importance of collaboration. So all three. What are some benefits of having students watch specific instructional videos before arriving in class? So what's the point of that? There will be an archive of videos for students to watch later if they need it. So if they forget or they want to go back and check. Students can come to class with questions ready to ask, right? So if you flip the classroom and you send out the videos first, then they could come to the classroom. They could ask you whatever question they have. And teachers can do a quick formative assessment on the previous night's content, right? You send them the video, and then when they come in here, I do this formative assessment scale of 1 to 5. 5 is they understand everything, they've mastered it. 1 is they're lost, they have no clue, and 3 is like in the middle. You kind of get a 4 is an 80. Which of the following could students do at home for a flipped classroom model that does not involve a video? Remember, I said this earlier, right? When I was doing this, I said it doesn't have to involve a video. So that's like a little foreshadowing here for the question to come up. Read an online article, contribute to a slideshow, analyze a photo, and listen to a historical speech, right? So when we talk about the flipped classroom, even though it's always known, you think videos, these are all good, right? 4 great examples there. A great way to showcase student work is to create a Google site for students to link their projects and information to. But Google Sites is much more than just a content repository. What other mediums does Google Sites support? Okay. Embedding a Google Calendar to keep track of important dates. Okay, I don't know. I don't think that I had this in the content section, but later on when we talk about Google Calendar, I'll mention this. Uploading recordings to cater to audio learners. So these are all things you can do on a Google site. You can add images, pages for visuals, and linking downloadable PDFs and other digital documents. As we move forward, I think it's Unit 4. I said I gotta have a whole video on Google Sites, and it's the new Google Sites, not the old one. It's on the new Google Sites, and I do all this here. All right, so Mr. Jones has been talking with you about personalizing his classroom more using a blended model, right? The blended model we talked about. He's arguing that creating a multimedia text set or HyperDoc on a Google Doc is a better way to do this than a Google site. Why would he say this? Why does he say that? Because Google Docs can be distributed in Google Classroom for ease of organization. Google Docs can be shared and edited by students more easily than a page on Google Sites. A teacher would have to create a Google site for every student and then create pages for each multimedia text set on those sites for every student. Docs are easier and more efficient to grade for this type of assignment. Yes, right? So, all 4 of them. And this is just like a good learning point too, right? It teaches you a little about docs and things like that. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. All right, so probably tomorrow. And I wanted to do this live stream, but I wasn't gonna be able to do this live. So we'll get to Unit 3. Okay, it's got 4 sections, so it's gonna probably be a little bit longer. Um, we just finished up Unit 2, and if you have any questions, post them below, and I'll post. I'll have a bunch of links down there and resources as well. All right, see you tomorrow.